pretty much everything that he's going to be talking about is all him. So it's pretty darn cool what he's done in his years of service here at UW. So, none other than George Kraft.
Woo!
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So, everybody hear of the California drought? Okay, so I had to go see it last year. More so, just see water in California. It's like a backbench Pentagon general needing to go to the front, see what's going on here. And the lesson I came back, well, okay, I'll spoil my own thing here, is that the drought isn't the big issue there. It's California's overplumbed. And what does this mean for Wisconsin? So, I'm going to kind of talk about this as like we're fellow academics here. I'll be a little looser with my terminology and things that if I were to make a general kind of extension presentation on it. So let's go with it. So this is my wife thought I should call this. He's Curious George Goes to California with his friend Burnout Scott. So this fellow here, his name is Scott Folke, long-term friend. He was attending a class reunion in Oregon about the same time, and he heard I was doing this. He needed to have a piece of the action, so we met in San Francisco together, and then ended up driving back from there after we did our little tour. A lot of great people we met along the way. So this was a physical tour where we actually went around and saw stuff, and then we stopped and talked to all kind of knowledgeable people who were either in kind of NGO organizations like this fish biologist here we met in Berkeley. This character here who does water tours for the Department of the California Department of Water. A fellow that helped craft their groundwater bill in their legislature. They have two guys from UC Davis here that help with a bunch of insights here. Also, one thing that California has that we don't is a lot of great think tank and NGO organizations that are able to characterize a lot of important issues. So this is from the Public Policy Institute of California, relied on this heavily. And this is a tome that was written in 1986. Many of you seen this thing before? It's still pointed to as the thing if you want to understand water management in the West and how we got here. Mark Masonry passed away in 2001. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, and a lot of this is informing my ideas. So, as I was suggesting here, California has all kinds of water problems beyond drought, and this being probably the chief one. The state has run out of cheap new water sources to bring into California, pillage other states and other places on the landscape, bring it into California for its own uses. But they've got the whole kit and caboodle here of water issues here. For example, if we just point to the situation with fish, 129 kinds of native fish, 5% are extinct, 24% are listed as threatened or endangered, 13% are eligible for listing, and 40% are in decline. Man, you don't want to be a fish in California, right? 80% of their fish species are in trouble or extinct. Matter of fact, when I was there, the fisheries biologist that I met with said he was on extinction watch. They were afraid that during this time we were going to have some species of fish going belly up permanently. So that's not to say that California drought wasn't something pretty severe here and historic. Red here means deep, deep doo-doo, and you can see this is how California was for 3 years in big chunks of Nevada and, well, a lot of the West. And maybe you've seen some of these things, some of these reservoirs going from their normal stage here to pretty much dry. El Nino year, maybe we're seeing the end of this long drought here in 2016. We'll have to see what it is. But in the last 10 years, California has spent 7 of them in one drought or another here. This isn't just oh gosh, the rain's here, now we don't have to worry about it kind of thing again. Here's another thing that's going on because surface waters were drying up and people were unable to divert surface waters to their agricultural enterprises there. They were drilling new wells and pumping them like crazy. And so the little guys like this, they can't afford to keep drilling wells for their their home usage, you know. They don't have that kind of ability to do it economically. And so this guy's a minister at a local church, and he's supplying water for these folks that just are too impoverished to do their own thing. You know, they're out of water for their own homes. Here isn't something that you could blame on water diversions, but you know, massive forest fires in the West last year. And then fish again in big trouble here. So the drought killed off nearly every single endangered winter run Chinook salmon in California last year. It really wasn't the drought that's doing this. If all they had to worry about was the drought, the salmon would have done just fine. But the fact is all this water's getting diverted all over the place. Streams are down to a trickle. You know, there wasn't water left for these fish anymore. Brown lawns, well, okay, that's not too serious a thing out of drought. And of course, you know, there's farms not able to get the water that they want. And so, you know, we have to blame somebody for that. So why not government? There's no water there. Well, you didn't build me a new water project that would get water to my farm. So, you know, it's the government's fault one way or another. So I think about it like this, that we can understand California's plumbing if we think about two things, ambition and geology. Ambition may also be a code word for some greed and some graft, and also some huge egos that are out there. You'll have to wait and see what you think about this. California uses a lot of water, 60 billion gallons a year. And the lion's share of this goes for agricultural purposes. You know, it's being piped all around God's creation for irrigation, and then everything else, you know, has a slice of the remainder. So, okay, let's talk about the geography here. So we have this great Central Valley in the middle of California, bordered on one side by the Sierra Nevadas and on the other by the coastal range here. And if we looked at what California gets to for precipitation in a year, it looks like this. And just by way of reference here, Wisconsin is, you know, we get about 32 inches of rain a year. That's the color that we are here. And so you can see that most of the state gets way less water than we do in a year. And then these colors here, this orange to this dark red, that's dry to damn dry. That's a very dry environment. So you can look at a big chunk of California is just one dry place. So where do they get precipitation? In the northwest part of the state and in the mountain areas, particularly, they get a lot of this as snow. And if we look at how California, a diagram of how California is plumbed, it looks kind of like a map of Custer's Last Stand. But you see lots of arrows going south, and they're going out of the rainier north and then heading to the south, where water is being used on crops and that sort of thing, as well as in cities. Lots of famous projects in this. This would be Hetch Hetchy, that brings water into San Francisco. This is the dam that broke John Muir's heart when it flooded a beautiful valley in Yosemite. This is the Los Angeles water project, where water was stolen from a couple of lakes up here, and a bunch of farmers put them completely out of business during the early 1900s, brought that into LA. This is the Colorado River Aqueduct here, and just, because you got to pump this stuff up mountains, right? The electricity bill, and this is subsidized electricity, $50 million a year worth of electricity is what it takes to pump water from here over to the cities in southwestern California. And just in case a little bit of that Colorado River was going to make it into Mexico here, we scarf that up, and that goes into the Imperial Valley here. So water moving all around. So but the Central Valley here and what goes on, this is where all the granddaddy of the water projects are.